Hello and welcome to this video tutorial. Today we're going to create this moving image effect in PowerPoint, and pretty easy once you know how. So I have a brand new PowerPoint presentation available here. I'm going to set the layout of this slide to blank because that's going to make it easier to work with. I'm going to the Insert tab and we're going to build up our shape. So I'm going to the rectangle. Just going to drag out a rectangle here. Now I've done a small amount of calculation already, and I know that for this size slide, if I make one that, or a rectangle that is 2.25 by 4.19, I'm going to have something that's going to look pretty balanced on this slide. So with this shape selected, I'm going to hold down the Control key and drag a duplicate away, and I'm going to do that with a third copy. Then again, I'm going to hold the Shift key as I select all three of these, hold the Control key as I move a set below, and then do it again to create a third set. Now I'm going to press Control or Command A because that just allows me to select absolutely everything. I'm going to the Shape Format tab here. I'm going to Merge Shapes, and we're just going to click on Union, and that turns that from 9 individual boxes into a single shape. And I'm just going to sort of pull it out so it's pretty nicely centered on my slide. So thinking that's looking pretty good. Now ultimately the photos are going in these slots, but the way we do that is that we actually make these as holes in something else. So let's go back to our Insert tab, go back into Shapes, go back into the rectangle, and we're going to drag out a rectangle that is the size of our slide. I'm going to make it a different color just because it's going to be easier to see. I'm going to remove its outline, and I'm going to place it behind everything. So over here there is a send backwards option. So I have my sort of purple shape behind and my grid on top. Again, I'm going to press Control or Command A to select absolutely everything. I'm going back into Shape Format, I'm going back into Merge Shapes, and if we move down here to subtract, you'll see that what we're doing is we're punching blue holes in that purple shape. So that's going to give us holes behind, and so that's giving us just this grid. It's a little tricky to see right now because the slide background is white, but we're going to see that pretty clearly in a minute. I'm just going to change my shape fill to black because I think it's going to work better with my photo. So now I'm going to insert my photo. I'm going to Insert and Pictures. It's coming from my device. Now I've got a whole heap of street artist images here. I'm just going to use this one. So I'm going to make it quite a bit bigger because I want to be able to move it. So I need to have it bigger than the slide. So let's just make it bigger than the slide, and I want to put it behind the grid, so I'm just going to send it backwards. So now we can get an idea, because we had that grid over the slide, we get an idea as to where our photo is in everything. So I'm just going to move the top left corner of my photo just underneath the top left corner of the grid. So everything's good so far. So this is my slide. What I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate it. So I'm going to right click on it and duplicate the slide. That gets us out of having to do any renaming. It's going to make the whole process just so much easier if you just duplicate your slide. So now let's go and get the picture and let's move it. So this time I'm going to move the bottom right corner into the bottom right corner of the grid. So there's going to be a movement from this part of the image to this part of the image. So the way that we do the effect is we go to the second slide. So not the first one, got to click on the second. We're going up here to Transitions, and we're just going to click on Morph. And you can see that gives us our effect instantaneously because everything is created very simply. The effect is working just perfectly. It's really, really fast. So let's slow it down by changing the duration. And now let's just see how it's going to look. So I'm going back to the first slide, and let's preview our slideshow. So I have my controls on the other screen. I'm just going to move to my second slide. And as I do, you can see this seamless transition. We don't know that we're going from one slide to the next. It's a transition from one slide to the next, but because the grid is stable, it hasn't moved, then we get this sort of transition effect. So I'm going back to slide 1. There's the transition between these two slides. So if I go backwards, I see that same effect. And let's go forward again and just see this beautiful incredibly smooth transition. I'm just going to press escape. If you need to change the duration, you can do that here, but there's a really cool, very smooth transition effect, very simple to create, and a nice way of using the shape features that are in PowerPoint. They're not in other applications in the suite. So PowerPoint gives you some really interesting shape effects that you can use to really good advantage with these sort of morph and move effects. If you like carefully researched content like this, clearly presented in a step-by-step format so that you can get great results every time, then you'll love my other YouTube videos. So give this video a thumbs up and click to subscribe to the channel. And on the screen now, you'll see a video that I've handpicked for you to watch next.